You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly.
Good, John.
Yep.
Welcome to the Village of Wappinger Falls second monthly meeting of the Mayor and the Board of Trustees for Wednesday, February 23rd, 2022. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You have an announcement, Clerk Carge?
I do not, Mayor.
Okay. I do. Just a reminder that our St. Patty's Day Parade in the village is on March 5th, a Saturday. And if you want to attend the Mass, it's at 9 o'clock at St. Mary's, and then there's a breakfast at 10 at Patsy's Restaurant.
Well, Mayor, now that you mentioned it, I did get a call from Mobile Life, Pete Chanella today, saying that the parade folks are gonna need to have their own ambulance coverage. The folks in the parade and the spectators will not be covered by our insurance, or our ambulance carrier. So it will need to be communicated to whoever's on that committee to ensure they have adequate ambulance coverage.
Well,
Aren't they supposed to, in their contract, doesn't it read that any function in the village, they're supposed to be here?
Yes, but it's not a village function, and that's what they're hanging their hat on. It's a county.
They've been here in the past.
I don't know about the past. I'm just telling you what he said today.
Now, I think we need to revisit the contract with them.
I've been going to these meetings, and so they were talking about insurance last Monday night, or this past Monday night. And I will get a copy of the insurance on Saturday for this. But I will talk to the chair there. I'll talk to Gene, and you'll just have to give me a paper to say exactly what we need.
I will.
And
So can I ask this question? So if someone shall fall down in the parade route, or a spectator, whatever the case may be, and someone calls 911, Mobile Life is telling us that they're not coming to this village because we're having a parade.
No. You can call 911, but they're not going to be the ones that's going to be responded. It'll be someone else. And they already have 2 or 3 others lined up for it already.
What is the reason for that?
Because we're paying for our coverage for our ambulance service for our residents, not for the Dutchess County parade and spectators.
Well, this is just like driving a car down Route 9 and getting into an accident. We're not going to pick you up because you're not a village resident. That's the same thing, right? I mean,
So I kind of go along with it. I mean, we want them to be on standby for somebody that has a heart attack over here.
well, I understand that, but
We don't want them carting people back and forth to Poughkeepsie and leaving our residents without ambulance coverage.
So it seems like it should be an additional ambulance.
It is.
Okay,
Right,
so
so
they'll be here that day.
they still have to.
There are 3 other companies he's lined up for it. But Mobile Life will be here for our residents, and the other companies will be available for the parade. But it needs to be communicated to the president of the parade committee.
I just find that a little bit odd.
That's the way it was explained to me.
okay,
I'll have that for you tomorrow, Mayor.
To an accident.
okay.
Okay, roll call. Mayor Sereno.
Present.
Trustee Sadati.
Here.
Trustee Ponte, absent. Trustee Nesnet.
Here.
Trustee Huber.
Present.
Trustee Ruffin.
Here.
Trustee Lauricella.
Here.
Village Attorney Wallace.
Here.
First on the agenda for this evening is for a discussion of engineering company that's in your agenda package here, right up front. And the company is J. Robert Foschetti and Associates. Trustee Lauricella, do you want to introduce?
Sure. Well, as you know, last meeting, I gave you guys a preliminary packet, and I've invited Todd Atkinson, who's the principal engineer for the firm, to just talk to us and meet us, and hopefully we can move forward with securing an engineering firm. I would like to.
Thank you. I don't want to hijack your meeting. I do have a couple talking points, if I can just hand out to everybody. It kind of breaks down what you have as that huge packet into some more easily discussable.
Thank you.
I have to apologize, I only brought 8. Share if you don't mind. So I'm Todd Atkinson from J. Robert Fulchetti Associates. We'll just back a little bit so you don't get feedback. Here, thank you very much for inviting me tonight, board, for this opportunity to just give you a quick rundown of what we do and how we do it. I have an agenda real quick, just a couple things there. My professional background, the company's professional background, company characteristics, different projects that we've done, grants and funding, which I think is key to everybody's part as we move forward through the upcoming years. We're trying to figure out how to fund projects that on infrastructure that's starting to potentially deteriorate. So jumping over to professional background, our firm is located over Brewster, New York. Civil and environmental engineering. We specialize in water, wastewater, stormwater, and land development. Established in 1984, so we're coming up on our 40th anniversary. Right now, we do consulting engineering for the Village of Brewster, the Village of Hunt Falls, the Village of Bronxville, town of Putnam Valley. Primarily, our work is, well, I should say primarily, entirely, most of our work is within Westchester, Putnam, Dutchess, Lawrence, and Sullivan counties. So it's in this area. We kind of run the 84 corridor, and basically between the Thruway and Danbury. My background, I'm a professional engineer since 2006, licensed in New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. We do a lot of utility works in those 4 states, so that's why I have those 4 licenses. And I represent right now the Village of Brewster, Village of Highland Falls, and the town of Putnam Valley on a monthly basis or weekly basis or daily basis. I'm also Lieutenant Colonel in the United States Army Corps of Engineers, so I have a lot of networking ability through the Corps to get permits and whatnot that various municipalities need in a timely manner. Because if I don't know somebody there, then it's not really I can find the right person to talk to. Started my career in this industry as a construction surveyor in the Army. So I'm a surveyor by trade, trained by the Army, and then went to school and became a civil engineer by profession. If there's any questions on any of that, I'll just jump over to characteristics. Obviously, we have vast experience in Hudson Valley historic villages. I listed a couple of villages there. Highland Falls, upwards of 185 years old. The Village of Brewster is upwards of 180 to 200 years old. I know the village here is quite old too. And one of the real things that we like to take into account is when you're dealing with old infrastructure is sometimes, like the last comment on here, you understand that historic villages are appropriate, the appropriate engineering answer sometimes requires an unconventional approach. We've done that in numerous places where we said, okay, the right answer is to do it this way, but it doesn't work within a village because of the historic nature or how how old the lines are. I mean, I'm not sure right now, I don't have a lot of background in the Village of Wappingers Falls, but I'm assuming your water lines, some of them are probably are as old as 80 to 100 years old. Your sewer lines are probably within the main core area, are probably about the same age as well. So looking at those and saying, okay, we got to put new sewers in, that doesn't typically work. In the Village of Village of Highland Falls right now, we're actually going through and relining all the sewers, utilizing what's there, but actually bringing them up to today's standard and structurally relining them. So there's different ways to approach different aspects of the historic villages that we're very keen on. We're a small firm. We're 14 people. We have 5 professional engineers, 3 designers, an office manager, an accountant, and 4 inspectors that are working basically throughout the year. The principals in the firm, myself and my partner Paul Lucio, both live in Hopewell Junction, so we live right here, relatively local to Wappingers. I actually go to AJ's quite often, to County Fair quite often, so usually in the village at least 3 or 4 times a month for dinner or whatnot. We're experts at the design, build, or bid build projects. I'm not sure if there's too many projects that you have here within the village that are like that, but we basically are able to go as a management group and do projects that would be like, okay, we need a new DPW building. We can actually pull together the team to actually get that taken care of, actually come up with the concept, meet with the board, determine what your needs are, develop that concept, put a design together, pull an architect in, pull a structural engineer in, pull an MEP firm in, and do that type of work all as one, I guess, heading, one group, and move forward through the bidding process and also the construction in a timely manner, with no claims, and really producing really great work. So that's something that we really pride ourselves on. And we work daily with subject matter experts in specialty fields. If you take a larger engineering firm, a lot of times they have multiple disciplines within the firm. That requires them to cover overhead quite often, so typically their rates are a little bit higher than what you would see on a smaller firm. In our sense, what we have is we have a smaller firm, but we have specialists that if I need a structural engineer, I have one in-house, but if I need one to do a multi-tier building, a multi-story building, I can go to a specialist that I have basically on call that we work with all the time to get that work done and pull that person in. Jumping over to the village DBB projects. Here are some of the projects that we've completed here. The Village of Brewster projects were all completed within the last 10 years, 12 years. So you can see new wastewater treatment plant, 14 million, laboratory building, 3.8 million, collection system and new potable water main system. That was a complete redo within the Village of Brewster. Their water and sewer is now done for the next 100 years. Nobody has to touch it. Minus upgrades in the wastewater treatment plant based on design changes and agency requirements. But we've done that. Right now in the Village of Highland Falls, we have all three of these projects going on currently, and we're finishing up the wastewater treatment plant rehabilitation, but the other two projects are in final design going to bidding right now. And in the Village of Bronxville, the flood mitigation system we finished about 2 years ago. That actually, obviously it's downtown in Westchester, but the Bronx River used to backflow into and flood out the core area of the Village of Bronxville. We designed a 5-pump system that basically stores that water, takes it and pumps it 4,000 feet further down the river to a lower elevation. So we've kept the Bronxville High School from going underwater 2 times in the last 4 years with storm events. Typically in the past, it went underwater 3 times for a total of about $60 million worth of damage, and the project was $11 million. So that was a fully funded project through FEMA and CEMO, where the village had to pay 20%, but the school district kicked in 10%. So it was a 10%, 10%, 80%. So the $11 million turned into being, the village was out about $1.4 million, I think, for the whole project, and the school picked up the other piece, and then FEMA and CEMO picked up the bulk of the cost. So these are all projects that we can do and done with a lot of positive results. Grants and funding, over the last 20 years, we've received $50 million in grants and funding. I say grants and funding because sometimes it's not always grants that you get to offset a project. For example, I know you have Central Hudson here. I just got done with a pilot program over with Central Hudson over in the Village of Highland Falls. They came in and I said, we're about to do a bunch of work within the village. Tell me what you need to do to your gas lines. And they came back and said, well, we have a 10-year plan put together. We want to redo all our gas lines. They're all ancient at that time. They're about 85 to 90 years old in most of the areas. They want to turn everything into plastic. I said, okay, so let's take your plan, let's condense it to 3 years. Let's get all that work done, and then, because we can pave cheaper than you can, let's come up with a plan of how we're going to offset our paving costs to meet both your requirements and ours. So we've done water and sewer upgrades within areas, which then in turn, Central Hudson paid us to actually repave the roads. So over the last 3 years, we repaved about 78% of the roads within the village, and Central Hudson ponied up about $825,000 towards that paving cost. And that was just basically, in a sense, thinking outside the box, asking them what their needs were, and working with their needs to also get the village's needs handled. So we like to kind of say that we think outside the box and produce projects that meet the client's intent, but is completed in a manner that reduces cost. That's what we're always looking for, is that, obviously, a project's a lot easier to do if the costs are reduced, or we have some way, funding mechanism to reduce them. So really, when it comes down to it, I just wanted to go over that with everybody here, and I didn't give some time if anybody has any questions. I know I've met a couple, obviously I met Adam before, I've met Kevin before, a couple of years ago, we discussed something similar at that time. But if anybody else has any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Do you have a surveying component to?
We actually have a surveyor, it's just a specialty company. It's actually Linden Surveying. They're actually located right here in the village. We use them for about 95% of all of our
We use
clients.
them as a subcontractor?
We do, we subcontract.
Do you
So-
have you mentioned stormwater before.
Yes.
We're an MS4
Correct.
community.
We deal with 9 MS4s. We complete the annual reports for 9 MS4s right now. Three towns, 3 villages, and 3 school districts.
Well, I do the annual reports for our village, but the new spades permit is out
Yes,
for the state.
correct.
And it's far more difficult than it had been in the past. I've been at this for 19 years. I'm the chairman of the committee for the county. And it looks like we're gonna really, from now on, we're gonna need some more engineering support, and I just wanted to know if you had that component.
We do, and actually, we're the only firm in New York State that actually, going a little bit different offline, has the online class for the 4-hour class for the stormwater erosion sediment control licensing. So we developed that with the DEC back about 14 years ago and had that implemented. So we had the ability to talk directly, based on that arrangement, we had the ability to talk directly with the number 1 or 2 people at the state to get clarification at any time for any issues that we have for stormwater.
DEC?
For the DEC, yeah. Because we actually have to report to them every month, who's been issued licenses and progress towards meeting their new goals, which I think that's still in comment period, right? The annual.
We are in comment, and I sent a letter to them, and I copied the board on it today. We have a lot
Yeah.
of questions, and we're asking for an extension.
Yep. The extension's more likely to be granted based on what we're hearing.
Yeah.
They're dealing a lot. One of the things that you don't have to deal with here, which is nice, in the Village of Brewster, we have to deal with the New York City DEP as well, which a lot of times what they're trying to do, the DEC is trying to do, is actually, in a sense, merge their stormwater requirements.
Well, like we call it East of Hudson?
East Hudson, yeah.
Right.
So they're trying to merge some of their requirements so that it makes it, in a sense, we'll call it easier for municipalities and/or developers to deal with. And that's what they're trying to do with that document right now. But I foresee that getting obviously extended comment period, and then eventually it will get approved. There are a couple issues that we see within there. My partner Paul Lucio is pretty much he's got the largest retrofit project, 2 largest retrofit projects designed and built in all of New York State, which means far exceeds the stormwater requirements, and we did those in the Village of Brewster. So he's actually going through that thing with a fine-tooth comb, and it has about a 20-page document.
I am certainly impressed with your involvement with the MS4. I've been at it for 19 years here, so that's great.
That you started right from scratch then. That was 2003, right? So
I was on the NOI.
there you go. Yep. We still see right now. We actually have. I went back through it. We still have 9 projects, because obviously projects are getting developed from 03 to 08 when the economy was really booming. Projects getting developed at that time. We have 9 NOIs that are still listed under the original permit. As long as you leave them alone, they don't. They kind of stay there, and they're grandfathered. What we have to do is make sure that our clients know that every year, eventually they're going to catch up with you and say you're not grandfathered anymore, and then your project's kind of put at that time. But it is a.
Well, we've had 3 audits in the village in the last 3 years. You know what they're like.
Yep.
They're-
Natalie Brown come in, or who?
Natalie
Yeah, Natalie. Yeah.
and Jennifer, they were here.
So the way I handle the audits, just to make it easy, is they give you the audit sheet. You know what the audit sheet is. So I have in every one of our municipalities, I actually have a file folder or drawer set up that goes right in line with the audit document. So basically when Natalie comes to audit, and she hasn't audited us in 4 years now because of this, I think, is that when she sits down, I take the box out, put it on the desk, and she looks at the first question, and I say, here it is. Looks at the next question, here it is. And we go right through it. So if you take the time during, and I'm not saying you're not doing it right or whatnot, but if you take the time throughout the year to put all that right in order and show them that you're on the ball with it every single time.
Oh, I do. I have all my inspections, all my outfalls, all mapped.
Good, great.
But this year, we're going to be looking for a grant because they want us to do the storm drains that go to the outfalls. And that's big.
Yes.
That's expensive. We're gonna try to get a grant if we can.
There are grants out there, and we also, one of the things I'll mention is we write grants for communities that we represent. There's no cost to writing them. The only thing I ask is, depending on what it is, in that case, it probably wouldn't be for us, but if it's a grant that's geared towards engineering work, that we obviously do the engineering work that comes, you know.
That's all I had, Colonel, Todd. I'm a military guy.
Okay, great. I'm just waiting to hear right now, you saying Colonel, I'm just waiting to hear for the 06 board right now, so I'm hoping,
Good for you.
look, I'm not going with
Good for you.
Thank you.
Well, I thank you for and having the trustee invite you in, but I will tell you that at the next meeting, unless the board calls a special meeting, we will have to RFP the engineering and put out for proposal.
I don't think that's correct, Mayor. With all due respect, I believe we could double check with council, but engineering firms are professional services and don't require an RFP. Is that correct, Craig?
That's correct. So
Well,
it's at the board's pleasure.
I
Just
can
to clarify, but
I can tell you that is correct. I mean, obviously the council agrees with that. When it comes down to it though, I have no issue if you go out to RFP, because when it
Well,
comes
that
down to
would
it.
be a board decision.
The one thing that I would say in working with boards for the last 20-something years, and we've got a lot of longevity. I've been in the village of Hahn Falls for 17 years. I've been in the village of Bruce, we've been in the village of Bruce, I should say we, the firm has, for 24 years, actually going on 25 years. The town of Putnam Valley, I've been there for 16 years, so we have a lot of longevity, and when it comes down to it, the board members need to feel comfortable with the engineer, and the engineer needs to feel good with the board members as well, because it's kind of a two-way street. If we prepare a project that we don't hit your intent, right on it, then it's not, it doesn't work.
I understand.
Yeah, so I have no issue, we go to RFP. So. I've actually got the packets already put together, so.
I only mentioned because time is of the essence. We don't have the luxury of time, but that's cool.
If I can ask you just a real quick couple questions. What was your engineering, like for instance, Town of Putnam Valley, I'm pretty much there all day on Wednesdays. Every Wednesday I'm there. We meet with prospective applicants and things like that. Is there a battle rhythm that's set up that you have that when I know when your meetings are and when not, but is there
We get a summary of all the projects once a month, and there you are with all the projects from Casey Engineering.
Okay.
And they would just come in, or now they just send a summary of what they're,
Right.
where we are, and then at this meeting, we go through it, and we'll do that later on.
Okay.
That's all.
That's all? Okay. So there's no daily requirement, about one day a week or something like
No.
that or anything like that?
We get a monthly summary.
Gotcha. Okay. That's good. Okay. Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. And if you have any other questions or concerns, my email address and cell phone number down below. You feel free to give me a call or email. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I do have more copies. I don't know if that we are down or nothing.
That's okay.
You know what I can say? I'll just review these when we go to RFP. I'll just review them. Yeah, I did, yeah.
So that's
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Everybody have a great night.
Thank you. In your package, toward the back, the end of it, you'll see from the Wappingers Falls Police Department a memo where Commissioner Ferry is requesting to buy 10 radios. I thought he would be here
Is
tonight.
it buy or lease?
Well,
Or lease.
if you sign this contract to lease them, after 4 years, you own them.
Do we know how much they leases?
So it's right now, we're paying $685 a month for the radios. With the new contract, it'll be $631.98 a month, which is about almost $50 savings. But after the 4 years, we'll own the radios. Right now, we just have an ongoing lease to pay the $685 per month without owning them.
And also, for some reason, Commissioner Ferry told us we will get to keep our rental units, 10 rental
And get-
portables, and get 10 new ones.
Yes.
So the ones that we're renting we'll keep.
Like Price Chopper, buy one, get one free.
Guess
So
so.
it seems like a no-brainer.
For how many months, Jen?
4 years.
4 years? All right.
After 4 years,
6.4% interest rate.
Oh, no, last page? No, okay, sorry.
6.4% interest rate, which winds up being about $4,000 in interest.
there is an option to buy them outright. But that would,
Is that option available at any time in the 4-year?
he did say that he has to get back to him because this offer is good till March 1st. So that is something I'd have to ask him. If we lease them now, if we can pay it out. I don't think we discussed that.
No.
Is there a recommendation from the police committee? How do you guys feel about it?
I think
We're actually saving money, I don't see.
Right, yeah, okay.
we recommended to do it.
All
Yeah.
right.
You have a monthly savings, and then you, at the end of 4 years, instead of the continuous payment, you save actually $685 a month.
Do these have to be serviced?
He said there was he
Very
did
little
make mention to say that there's really never any problems with the hardware.
What, like, what do they need, like replacement batteries in them every so often, or what kind of costs are we looking at with this?
He said, well, Commissioner Ferry did say there's none.
Yeah.
Because there's
Minimum.
involves no service. I mean, I can't speak to if somebody smashes one, and I don't know about batteries.
Gotcha.
But we will ask.
Our current plan also takes into account that these, whatever needs to be done, you know, like if a copying machine breaks down and you have a rental and service agreement, it gets fixed. So our current plan takes into account that the radios also get fixed? Yes, no? Is service included?
He says that they don't get repaired. That's all he said to us.
Says that they continue working? All right.
That's what he said. I don't know. He did say that, right, Jen?
Yes, he did say that.
Well,
But we can clarify that.
Yeah, totally.
But bottom line is, it's the same company, the same radio.
For less money.
For less money.
Less money.
Twice the radio.
so that's kind
Less
of
money. And obviously, there's some sort of offer that wasn't available to us in the past. So he would like to take advantage of that offer. It'll cost us less money, and we will own the radios after 4 years. Right now, I think we've had them for 10 years. This is a 10-year contract that's expiring, and we've been paying this much money every year,
Expires March 1st.
and it expires soon.
So, with that said,
So we have to do.
It expires on the
March
1st.
1st.
So we have no choice.
Yeah.
He did say that he could probably get an extension if we needed to, but he didn't see the reason why we.
I don't see the need unless the repair stipulation is.
okay. So, with that said,
I'll
is
make a
someone
motion.
going to make a motion for the police department to lease 10 portable radios after this discussion relative to the cost?
I'll make
So
the
make the motion, put the cost factor in.
I'll second it.
I just have one other question. So our current lease, can we get out of it at any time? Did you ask Charlie that?
I
or
did not.
Is it fixed until like the end of the year, so now we're gonna be double leasing radios?
No, this current lease expires in 2 weeks.
It does, okay, so perfect.
March 1st.
That's-
expired.
Well, yeah, probably a week.
And then this deal ends March 1st. All
It'll
right.
be
Right.
seamless, I'm guessing.
I
Yeah.
hope, okay.
Okay,
That's what I
so-
wanted to know.
I guess you want to lease the 10 portable radios at $631.98.
Purchase, not lease.
Well,
Lease to purchase, lease to
Lease
own.
to
Lease to
lease to
purchase.
own.
Lease to purchase.
I thought it was just finance. Okay, I see.
Lease to buy price of $631.98
8.
$8 a month.
per month.
I'll make that motion unless somebody already has.
And
It's
after,
already got a motion, we have a second.
well, let's put it in the motion, the price, and after 4 years, the department will own the radios and the monthly fees will stop.
I'll
Yeah.
make the motion to
And get 10 free.
At least
Don't forget about
10
our-
portable radios for $631.98 a month for 4 years.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mayor votes aye.
Carried.
Okay.
We are in receipt, and it's in this package too, for the bio program from Larry Sprague that I sent up to Attorney Wallace to review. And it's my understanding that now there needs to be some changes made to it. Is that correct, Attorney Wallace?
Yes, I called Mr. Sprague, and I wasn't able to get a hold of him. I was hoping to get a Word version of this contract. The only thing that I would like to point out to the board is there is certain language regarding late fees that obviously has to be taken out because the financing of this particular project is through a grant, from what I understand, and we'd be dependent upon third-party monies to pay, and that has to be reflected into this contract. So the late fees would have to be taken out, and there would have to be a schedule of payments that would have to be added to the contract. Other than that, the contract is satisfactory. So if the board's pleasure is to go ahead and ratify this contract subject to those changes, we could do that tonight. You could take action tonight, I should say, if you so choose.
Well, we know that they wanted to move this project starting in April. So, how long would it take to get these changes?
As soon as I could talk to him.
Or does someone want to make a motion conditional on the attorney's revision of the few items in the contract?
I'll make that one.
Could I say something, please? Because I'm in receipt of an email I received today from our engineering group that's handling this project, and there's some concerns from the DEC on the new design that Larry is looking to do in the lake, because that was not something that had been presented to the DEC previously, and they have some questions and concerns about it. I would respectfully ask that you table this until the DEC comes back and gives us a comment as to they're comfortable with the design of the system, rather than getting ourselves into a contract that we're going to have to find our way out of if it's not acceptable by the DEC.
Well, it can be done at the March meeting. We'll see what can happen in 2 weeks. Is there a motion to table?
Motion to table.
Second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mayor votes aye.
Was that Trustee Ruffin?
Yes, it was. Trustee Huber, Trustee Ruffin.
To table to next month.
To the March meeting, yeah.
Okay, Casey Engineering provided me with the monthly report. If you look at it, talks about the boathouse exterior improvements, the parking lot concrete patio site lighting.
It's basically the same.
Same thing. The 2 banner poles need to be put up. I don't believe they are put up. I'm going to check again tomorrow. The other issue we had, but wasn't KC, was to get the inspection report, and
Well,
Doyle did do the inspection, but I haven't seen the report yet. I'll call them tomorrow to see where they are with that. That will close out and allow us to have the CO for 3 seasons. She also put in here the Bain Park Survey Master Plan. You're probably going to talk about that.
I can talk about it right now because it ties into what her report is. So if you want me to address it right now, or do you want to?
I think it's a good time while we're on it.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Okay. So I passed you out packets that I received from Nancy this morning. And basically, she has submitted to the county a proposed bid package to go out for the installation of Dean Park. So the first thing I'm going to do is, so you should have a cover sheet like this.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
You moved this so far up.
Okay.
We can't hear you at all.
I'm sorry. So if you can find this in the packet that I gave you, it's got a cover of Bain Park. I'm just going to talk to you, address a little bit about some changes in the design of how where the playground's going. So we made some modifications to be more cost effective, and you can kind of see those by looking at, I think it's page 3, is the overall design for Bain Park. And what you will see is, if you will see in the lower right-hand corner, you'll see that's where the playground's going in, which is on the corner of Clapp and, is it Upper Henry or Lower Henry? Lower Henry Street, I'm sorry. But, so the changes that were made were that we rotated where the equipment went, so that was changed. The entire playground has been pulled forward more towards Clapp Avenue, which meant that we didn't have to bring as much fill into on the site. And then you can see, so if you flip to page 5, you'll get a better picture of what that blow-up area will look like. So you can see the design a little bit better of what the playground will look like and how it would be accessed with the parking that we're putting in as well. So this is scaled down quite a bit from where we had hoped to be with it, but that's trying to stay within the boundaries of what kind of funding we have. Okay, so, and the other specs that we call for is, so you'll see that it calls for a fence around the property that's an aluminum fence, which is low maintenance, and I think suits it well. There's also in here, I gave you, one of the other sheets that I gave you is the cost estimates that they're anticipating. We'll come back, and again, it's dependent on what, we receive in bids and stuff like that. But this is their projections as to how we will be able to stay pretty close within the boundaries of that $200,000 between the 2 grants that we received for Bain from the county, one in 2019 and one in 2020. So I think they project it to go a little bit over at $205,400, but there's a $15,000 contingency in there. And it also doesn't take into account that I did get Tilcon to donate the item that we need to have as an underlayment and stuff. So that's not taken into consideration in here. Okay. Casey, Nancy feels that they are staying well within the amount that they had projected using, which is the $68,000 that we pulled from restricted rec funds and allotted to this project. And of course, we've already paid for the playground equipment, and that also came out of restricted funds. Okay. Previously, I'd come to the board and asked, said that I thought we might need to do some tree removal on the property sometime around now. That is not necessary with changing where we are putting the playground in, so that is no longer necessary to do. Okay. Nancy has asked that to come before the board and say that she would like the board to, and I guess, Craig, you have to make this into a resolution maybe, that it is a negative impact seeker for the project. So I think I included to you as well the long form of the
assessment form.
Assessment form. And then one of the other things I included was the timeline, projected timeline. It's just a draft target schedule, and that's dependent on us getting back the county approval to move ahead. Nancy would like to schedule a special meeting for March 16th, which would be for the board to approve the bid package. And then we could go out to bid. Our target date for getting everything out and selecting a construction company to install the playground. We'd like to be installing that playground sometime between June 6th and June 27th, with a little bit of flex depending on if we might have some issues with getting some of the material involved.
The main drawback would be the poured rubber surfacing that, in keeping in contact with Compan, they have indicated that that has been a holdup a little bit in terms of getting materials and stuff. But it still keeps us in my timeline, which is I really would like to have this playground in and operational by the end of August. Okay, so do you have any other questions that I could answer, or?
No, I think we just determine if we have to do the secret process, if it's a negative, and you've supplied the long assessment form
Right.
For us, if the village needs to do one of those long assessments.
Okay. And if you can shoot me an email if you feel you need any more information or if you need clarification on anything, I'd be happy to respond.
So in-house, Craig, you can, yes, can that be taken care of before March 16th?
This is for Bain, right?
Urbane Park.
Right. I know there was a lot of back and forth going on with Podgy Terrace, but not
Nope, that's,
anything.
No.
that had-
no, Bain's totally separate.
This is just Bain.
This is just Bain, and it's just the installation of the playground, although the law, you'll notice that we did submit the entire plan for the entire property of what the projection is in the future and stuff.
Okay.
Well-
I'll
You'll be able to tell us at the board meeting, I guess.
Right. Mm-hmm.
On the 9th.
But who's preparing the EAF? Nancy?
Yeah.
And so then we'll know if we have to schedule a board meeting for the 16th by the board meeting.
Now, this EAF was just recently prepared, right?
Yeah.
In the past, like, week?
Yes, I believe, well, I would say within the past month.
It's dated today.
Yeah, she sent it to me today.
This is the first I'm seeing it, so
Okay.
that's why I...
No, I think you got it, I think you got the same email. At least that's what it says on the email that I received, that you were copied on it, and I think you got it as well, John.
There should be no problem. You got someone in the office who went to that Evelyn Wood speed reading class? So, okay, so,
Okay, thank you.
so yeah. And everyone see the allocation of costs here in the KC package for Bain? Okay.
200,000.
Yeah, and you will see there is a $15,000 allowance for a contingency there. That happens to be number 11. Okay.
Route 9 sewer. Friday, the design documents will be submitted to the county and New York State DOT and the village for review and preparation for the bidding process. The LWRP 9-element plan is being worked on by Lori.
Okay.
And that was the full report for Casey Engineering.
With the 9-element plan being the end item.
Right.
Okay.
So that was it for their report. You probably noticed, or you haven't noticed, that the last remaining portion of the Cobbler building to get it prepared for leasing was completed. I haven't met with Brian yet to see if he issued a CO, but that's the next step. So I was asked about a year and a half ago to take on that project because Corey at the time was overwhelmed and I had time to oversee it, but I can sunset myself from it now I did the roof, the exteriors, the interiors, AC, HVAC, new bathroom, sheet rock, painted, new door. Everything is complete.
I think there might be one problem with that door, just my opinion. Since it's a public building, I see that there's no push bar on it. It's
Push bar on the
on
inside?
the inside.
Is there supposed to be one on the
I'm
inside?
just assuming, I mean, all our public buildings have it, and if that's gonna be a public building, I think it needs to have a push bar. I would double check with Brian.
I will check with Brian. I'm not so sure about that. I'll find out.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm surprised Brian didn't say anything because I reviewed the door with him and the whole
oh, did you?
project.
All right, I
When I
mean,
did the permit.
I haven't talked to Brian, I just stopped by to see it, and I noticed it, and
I will check with him. If we need it, we'll get it.
I was just concerned maybe.
And then I'll
Send it out or something.
sunset myself from that project.
Yeah, it's really exciting. We'll try to get the lease situated so we can.
I have a sample lease that Matt drew up that I can hand off to somebody, whoever wants to take that project on, of leasing it.
I'll take it from you.
I can send you a copy of the lease draft that they put together, and maybe you and the attorney can
Sure.
figure it out.
Sure, thank you. Thank you for all your hard work on that.
Thank you. I know it's taken a while, but with COVID, we couldn't get doors. Now all of a sudden doors are available, and that was the last piece. But I'll check on the crash bar tomorrow.
Yeah, please.
The boathouse, the only things remaining, we talked about that, was the 2 flag poles in the back. They put the wrong ones up, and they gotta take those down, put 2 new ones up. I know the 2 new ones were delivered. I was there the day they delivered them. I just haven't been down there to see.
Are they inside? Or they
No,
put them up already?
they're outside. They're long. They're all wrapped up in,
I didn't see them down there.
well, maybe they did put them up then. I'll check
Were
tomorrow.
they, the ones in the front or the back?
And, well, they were on the side of the building.
No, but I'm saying the flag, or the pole, the light pole
In the
itself.
back, by the creek.
Yeah, the two.
They might have put them up because I was down there and
Oh,
I didn't
good.
see anything laying around.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for that. You heard me talk about the MS4 permit tonight. It is huge. It is so much bigger than it has been in the past, and I'm sure we're gonna need engineering help. I'm gonna try to figure out if I need to put some money in the budget for engineering support this time around. We did send them a letter. You'll see where I signed it, of all our concerns that we have from the 14 communities upstream. So we'll see what we get back from them.
That's
Stormwater,
what you got there?
yep.
Okay, so before we adjourn this, is it the board's position not to RFP for an engineering firm? Or is it their position to just select one? Since,
Well, I put out, to everybody, well, to many people who would like to participate in the search. We've collected some information. It's my opinion, after doing my due diligence, I can't speak for others, that I'm excited about this candidate. It's a 1-year appointment, it's not a 2-year appointment. It's not required. I don't know if we did RFPs with other people. However, I did, include our current engineering firm, cost structure to Mr. Atkinson's, and it's below. So, I mean, that should be of interest. I personally don't feel the need, because I do also think we're in this process of restructuring. Fortunately, we've got a new treasurer that's here. It's going to be great. We have a new water clerk now. We're trying to build up the department. And I do think time is of the essence. And I mean, whatever anyone wants to do, I'll support it and walk alongside you with it. But, it seemed like a well-credentialed
so
firm.
what is the position? Do you want to just select an engineering firm, or do you want to RFP them?
I would like to, I sat down, this is the second time I sat down with Todd, and I like him and his company, what they do, and I think he'd be great for the village. But maybe we can also, I got the paperwork from Lawrence J. Podgy, maybe we can look into him. He's a a smaller firm. And do we need a bigger firm? We need a big firm like that, or
Big firm like who?
like this Roberts?
I mean, comparatively, they're not a big firm.
Well,
14 people, that's not a huge firm.
I'm just going by the cost price. I mean,
Oh, I see.
you know what I'm saying?
Well,
I mean,
let's stop and think about this for a minute here. What are you gonna need the engineering firm for in this coming year?
I would just say for the everyday
Yeah,
purpose of the village, meaning KC has a lot of stuff they gotta tie up on.
That's correct.
Thane Park, the sewer project out on Route 9,
And the manholes,
and the manholes, so they got a few things to clean up on.
that they will be around for until they come to
The
conclusion.
new firm will come in here as a clean slate and really nothing to do right now, but things can change tomorrow in this village. We all know that. And we have until April
Right.
to make a decision.
Well,
I mean,
March 31st.
March 31st.
Which is 36 days.
I understand, yep. I mean, again, I like the guy, I sat down with him twice already, and he's very impressive. I'm thinking of just the cost wise, I mean,
Well, the question comes in,
I don't know if the rest of the board has his paper or not. I've saved it when he did the project on Market Street to survey the land between the Flag Building and the old Marshall's Building.
Right.
That, you know, with the
Yeah,
staircase
yeah.
there. So I've saved the paperwork to it. That's why I have his.
Yeah, I have his numbers too.
Okay.
well, before we can get to an engineering firm, we have to answer the question that now I will phrase for the third time. Do we want to RFP him, or do we just want to select?
I don't.
I'm a no
know.
vote on that. Yeah, I think we should select. From whoever we select, we should select.
I'm with Pat on this one. I think that's the better way to go, that we just
Yeah.
select.
Okay, so, do we want to make a motion on that, or do we want to just say informally, we're just going to select because it meets the requirements that we don't have to RFP it?
Yeah, I don't think.
Professional services, so it's the
Right.
pleasure of the board.
I'll make that motion.
I mean, if that's what you want, I'll second it, but we don't really need to do it anyway, right?
No, you don't.
Right.
You do it at reorg.
I mean, whatever anyone wants to do, I just put a lot of effort into doing it, and I don't have a lot of more bandwidth to keep
No,
talking
I understand.
to engineers and things like that. That's kind of the thing. So if somebody wants to take the ball and meet with other people, I've been between the interviews with the, you know, all the other treasurers and things, it's getting to be
I
extreme.
understand.
I think, if I may be heard, Mayor, that the idea was to get somebody up and running to take on present projects as they come in, because KC is trying to transition out. but
Well,
they would
yes,
be
we know
keeping-
that.
Yeah, so they would be keeping what they have now, but anything new coming in, if it is the board's pleasure to hire them, maybe they can take those projects between now and reorg.
I have an even more important question to ask. When KC leaves, they have all of our records that they got from Jay Podgy, and they scanned in. It took them months to do it. Where do those records go? How do we get them back?
Yeah,
How do we
I was
store
pointed
them?
out we didn't collect them over the years.
If I recall, and I think Jen might remember, and you might remember, Clerk, they took aerial shots of this village, and they also, all of our new water and sewer projects in this village, they put on, I think, I don't know what it's called, I forget, a USB port.
And we paid for that, so
We
that should
paid
be
for
our
that.
property.
Right.
So speed up properly, we should have that. And what they were looking to do within the USB ports was give them to them so much like the highway department and the water department, so they would know where the water lines and sewer lines were in the streets. This way, in the middle of the night, they could just click up.
So they scanned as much as they could of our past, and then what we had record of, from what I remember, and then anything they did going forward.
Correct.
They were going to scan as well. So that should all be.
We
I would
paid for
think,
that, and then-
We paid for it, it should be handed over to us.
Well, yeah, and moreover, it should be available to our new engineering firm, so they don't have to redo it.
Also, yeah, correct.
I did have a conversation with Supervisor Podgy, where there was, he did share concern with me that we may not have important information. And he was concerned that we may not be able to get it.
Okay, well, he'll have to express his concern to either the highway chair or the board.
Cool.
Okay, with that said, I guess there's a motion on the floor and a second to just select an engineering firm. So, is there a second on that motion?
I did.
I made it, Pat seconded.
Okay. So, on a vote,
Aye.
Aye.
nay. I'm old-fashioned. I think any project of this nature should be RFP'd. It carries though, 5-2.
What's that mean, select? You're gonna select in the end of April when you do your reorg?
No, we're gonna select it probably at the March meeting because KC runs out in March 31st.
Okay, I just wanted to know, so I put it on the agenda.
We have two choices. We can either select them in March or we can select them at the end of March.
Let's go
It'll
March.
be before March 31st
I'll
though.
put it on the agenda for,
You'd be adopting their previously submitted schedule of rates, right? The clerk card
yeah.
that had been previously submitted to the board for their consideration. So, is this a formal appointment or not?
This will be,
Appointment by the mayor on this.
this will be a formal appointment approved by the board beginning at the April.
That's not the question he asked you.
Oh.
He asked you, is this a formal appointment by the mayor with approval by the
Oh.
board?
This is a this is not an appointment by the mayor.
Okay, so it's a board appointment.
Correct.
It'll be
Well, if
one
that's
year
the
term.
question, right.
Okay, that's it.
I believe. I don't
To
know.
the best of your knowledge?
We've never had this before. The
No,
mayor,
at
the
least
mayor
you haven't
makes,
had it. At
the
least you
mayor
haven't.
makes the appointments and then the board approves them or not. Let me verify that with NICOM tomorrow morning.
Maybe I'd like to talk about this in executive session if the board would make that motion at the end of the meeting. So maybe it could be addressed then.
Okay. Okay, so, that's the last item
I have some things, but
before we go,
Yeah, I do too.
before we go to executive session?
Yeah, they're just very small, but yeah, quick thing.
you got a quick thing? Go ahead.
Well, the one
That's
thing
something quick too.
I gave everybody, I just wanted to just say that I had spoken with Brian and a few of the other people just to stay connected to me when they have positive feedback, and I just wanted to just publicly say that Maria Riley from Northway Forest had sent us an email, and I'll just read a couple things. It said, I had the pleasure of interacting with our Mercedes Perez and wanted to take a moment to share my experience with you, and she did so and ended it with, myself and the rest of Hardwood Brothers wanted to express how grateful we are to the level of professionalism and service your department provides. And I thought that was great to get some good feedback. You know, we're kind of in the weeds sometimes, and so, you know, the folks that are working in Village Hall, Mercedes and Brian are no exception, but this was highlighted, so I just wanted to thank them for being part of the planning and zoning. There was that, and then I had a quick question about if we are able, we had talked a little bit about the idea of having Tim Barry back to clean parks and things, and I was wondering if we could pursue that sooner than later and consider having him or whoever we were to hire also go down into the Main Street corridor. I was taking a walk today because it was gorgeous out, and the amount of garbage, particularly on the bridge and things where there's no, you know, there's no home, there's no one to to seemingly clean it up, like residents or businesses, because there's just a bridge. But the amount of garbage everywhere is,
So are you looking for a March
Shocking.
hire or an April hire? What do you?
well, I think
The sooner the better, but
the park is, I mean, it's,
Well, March is sooner than April.
yeah, March. I look
April's
for,
sooner than May.
I look for tomorrow, a tomorrow hire. I'm looking for tomorrow.
but they're big, we gotta make it seasonal, not a 90-day thing. So it's gotta be seasonal. The highway department used to hire a seasonal person that would come and work seasonal until the end of the year. Basically, from like May, I don't know when you start, but May to January, but this guy would be from March, April to November.
It seems like a lot of preparation needs to happen as the nice weather.
I would go as just, I mean, only because, I don't know. We want to go March 1st, we'd go March 1st, but I would say like maybe.
I don't know. I just know that there's tons of garbage all over the place, and we should get it cleaned up because it's horrifying, and it really is disrespectful.
Well, excuse me.
And maybe I should just
So,
pick it up. And that's cool.
No separate meetings.
The question is whether or not a seasonal employee, the definition of a seasonal employee is 90 days or 180. So I think that we have a roster of positions, and if it meets seasonal, we'll check with county civil service unless you know off the top of your head from your dealings with civil service.
They do have a ceiling on the amount of days that you can have a seasonal employee. You can't have them forever.
No, it wouldn't be forever.
I think we've been pretty lucky getting them for 6 months.
The other question was, I don't know, and I say this with caution because I don't want anyone to total panic. But is on those main areas, is that something that can be a separate job, or the highway department can be involved in? And then does the building department take care of this, or at any point will we be looking to do that before we invite the county in on the parade route, or do the parade people do it?
The highway department does pick the garbage up on Main Street.
That's what I'm just talking specifically, Main Street. That's what I'm talking about.
I know they go, I don't know the exact days.
Yeah.
Maybe it's twice a week, whatever. But they do it. But if we can ask them,
Yeah.
tell them, could you pick up the game on the cans on the bridge, and or when you're out and about and you see it, just grab
I had a
it.
guy do that. His name was Al Ford. That's
Yeah,
what
well,
he did.
He retired.
Well, he
Living his best life.
He didn't retire. He
Got
got transferred from me to the highway department.
Yeah.
Tom Marshall. And all what he did went with him. So I don't know what's happened now that.
The highway's been doing it, but
Well,
again, they don't do it every day.
Traditionally, the highway
They
department
have-
is at least cleaned up before the St. Patty's Day.
Yes. They do it a few times during the
I'll
week.
see if you can get a seasonal guy for like 9 months. That's what you're asking.
Yes,
It's not fair to that guy though to be seasonal and give him another 3 months and hire him. I don't know.
Well, Timmy Berry's is retired, and
Right.
it's just a retired.
I don't know
kid.
how the county looks at that, but I'll find out.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so you had a couple items?
I got a couple items. Last night we had a recreation meeting.
I would like, before we go to your items though, I would like the board to follow the policies that have been enacted for the meeting for items, and to submit them to the clerk so we can get them on the schedule, on the agenda.
Oh, if you want that, I can do that.
Well, that's what the board adopted.
I'm just.
I mean, I wasn't part of that adoption, but I'm trying to adhere to it for what they did.
I'm just telling you what we talked about.
I know.
I mean, if you want this all on the agenda, then we can wait till next month to put it on the agenda. I'm just telling you what we talked about.
No, I know, well, that'll come under a park and rec discussion. I know you talked about the items you need and want.
Some of these items are budgetary items, so they made notes for me. I'm just telling you what we talked about.
Okay, so is it needed to be done tonight, or?
No, we don't have to tonight.
Or does it need it to be done for March before we get the packet for the
We won't,
budget?
we'll do it in March when we do the budget in April.
Okay. I don't want to cut you out, but.
No, we're good, we're good. We'll do it for the budget. I just wanted to brush the board up on it, but you want it on the paper. We'll do it in March.
Well, it's hard to plan a meeting. It's hard to plan.
I'm just letting you know what they
right,
talked
all right.
about, but you want it on the agenda, so it'll be on the agenda for next month.
Very good. Just like the board decides who can and cannot go into executive session. Okay, so before we end this meeting, is there any other items that we got? Yes.
I just want to clarify something. Reading back on the quote with the police radios, they are warranted for 3 years. After that, there is a charge per radio, but that's optional. So we haven't had that in the past, that charge, and it says here, the radios to be repaired in-house, if something was to go wrong with the radio, could be about $125. And I'm just waiting for something on the batteries. And the batteries, we charge them within our own charger, and they have a 3-year life. So those are just the same expenses that we are currently, there's no change in the, that within the contract. We're not gonna pick up any additional bills with that.
Okay.
We're just gonna
Okay.
be paying what we're currently paying.
Good job.
Okay. So, before we end the open meeting, and I'll ask the board, because we set who we invite into executive session, Cindy is waiting to ask to come into executive session for purposes of talking about LWRP. That's the Larry Sprague project and the Pine Plains project. So, the board has to either thumbs up or thumbs down if she has some information that she wants to share. So,
I make a motion, Cindy comes in executive session.
is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll vote aye. Trustee Ruffin?
Aye.
Okay. Trustee Lorisella?
I'm abstaining.
Abstain? Okay. Trustee Sidoti?
Aye.
Okay, so we'll allow Cindy to discuss the LWRP in executive session, because there's a personal matter involved in that. Okay, so is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
And a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mayor votes aye. Okay. Thank